Namaste, everyone. Namaste, Jyoti. Welcome. And I'm very happy to be part of this wonderful initiative. We call it Gurukul fondly. And as a parent of two very young kids, I can surely say that it's truly Parents Ki Paathshala. And the program helps all parents whom I have also touched base with. Definitely say that it helps get right understanding and perspective on a lot of important topics, and has definitely helped look at things very differently in our parenting journey. So moving ahead with today's session, I'm sure today's session is as enriching and inspiring as the previous sessions, and the topic is very important, I would say, especially for the parents with very young kids. And so we all are aware adolescence is a phase between childhood and adulthood, where children go through several changes. I would say experience rapid physical, cognitive, and social growth. And as generations, we have seen, some set timelines in entering this unique stage of development. However, it is reported, and even the medical fraternity, validates that as a generation, we are observing a shift in the onset of adolescence. So with our expert, as Aditi said, let's, understand, why this timeline shift, what are the reasons, and what as parents we can be more mindful about in our diet and even otherwise lifestyle, in helping our kids sail through this journey and being mindful of that, the early is not too early and the timelines are in place for our children. So namaste, Jyoti. It's a pleasure to have you. So with your expertise around this topic, can you help us understand, let's start from the very start and quickly, take this topic in terms of understanding what exactly early adolescence means, experience distinct challenges for boys and girls, and probably the signs parents need to observe.
First of all, I really want to thank Aditi and Priya for such warm welcome and giving me this opportunity to discuss about this problem, which is emerging at an alarming level, because we are getting so many patients and so many queries from parents nowadays about this burning problem, which is called early puberty, or you can say precocious puberty. Precocious puberty is a scientific term for the early puberty, and this is something actually puberty. First of all, you need to understand what is puberty, which is basically is the development of the secondary sexual characteristics in the different genders, whether the girls as well as in the boys. So the normal time period for this is 8 to 13 years for the girls, and 9 to 14 years roughly for the boys. They start developing a lot of other secondary sexual characteristics like pubic growth development or enlargement of their reproductive parts, as well as their overall growth in their structure, and growth of hairs and acne coming up because of the sex hormone secretion. So these kind of things are coming up normally around the age bracket of 8 to 14 years. But nowadays this is happening a little early, not little early, very early, as early as 6 years. Even we have noticed in the kids also, they're coming in the age of 6 years with full blooming characteristics and features, as well as even the menarche also is happening to the 6 to 7 years old girls. This is a problem which is happening more in the girls comparatively to the boys. There are certain reasons behind it, which we're gonna discuss later on maybe, but there are a lot of challenges which nowadays kids are facing, and along with that parents obviously are facing. The challenges are definitely the body image issues which they are struggling with, because the other counterparts of the other people, they are not having that kind of development in their body comparatively to these kind of kids who are actually facing this issue. So that's why they are a little confused, irritated also, because a lot of hormone impact also is coming on them. So that is one of the reasons they are struggling with these kind of problems. And even the teasing also happening in the school also because of these development happening in their body also. So yes, there are a lot of changes happening in them, plus the nutrition deficiency they even can encounter because of the challenges or the growth happening inside the body so early. So definitely kids are facing, but the parents also facing along with them how to deal with these kind of issues. and how to help them to cope up with these kind of problems and to get normalized these things, and whether these are normal or not. They even are having a lot of confusion also about this thing. So that's why I want to talk about this thing, like how to handle these things. And as you can see here, that this problem have grown at 42.3% in last 5 years data, which we got till 2017. But the data is not where we have for till 2023, but still the cases are coming every now and then in the OPDs with these kind of issues, along with a lot of other problems they are facing with. So yeah, that's the thing.
So if I understand right, since you're saying it's as early as probably 6 years, a lot of time, even the parents are not aware about it, and it's a lot of time taken as like a lot of behavioral issue, which comes out in irritability or anger issues. Because one, of course, you're talking about the body image, and then they really don't know what's going on inside, and neither they understand and nor they are able to voice it out to parents. So that's why probably it's important for parents to understand and observe the signs as well, and to understand that this early advent is happening, because a lot of time it is being mistaken as a behavioral issue, that they are getting irritated, or probably not really listening and try to explain their own condition. So uh, well, so what are exactly the major reasons? Like, we see that it's been like on a rise, almost 42%, and by 2023, the number gets reported, probably we can see the number would increase itself. What do you think that are the reasons we can attribute to this shift of timelines to, and what are the effects probably of such a change?
See, the puberty is basically peripheral as well as a central puberty. So I just want to tell you few reasons which are biological and which are environmental. So I want to segregate these two things first of all. The biological reasons, if are happening, these are mostly either related to hormonal release inside the body, which is getting disturbed because of multiple factors. That could be pituitary hormone and hypothalamus hormone imbalance. That's one thing. I don't want to go into technicalities of that thing, but yeah, certain reasons I really want to jot down, because yes, maybe some parents are having this kind of family history or issues they're struggling with their kids. Like some kids sometimes having in the early age, like hydrocephalus problem, which is basically brain swelling, or maybe a benign brain tumor, or some kind of brain trauma, or some kind of brain inflammation if they're having. So they are having more chances to develop the early puberty. So that's one of the reason, the biological reason which I was talking about. And another reason could be the hormonal, sex hormone over secretions like testosterone as well as estrogen secretions are on a higher side because of the ovarian cyst, or maybe because of adrenal hyperplasia, adrenal gland over secretion. So these are the few things which are biologically doing secretions of gonadotropins on a higher side. But we really can't do much about this thing except doing some kind of medical intervention. But there are other reasons which I really want to underline, which we really need to take care of, that we can at least intervene to control these kind of problems. The one of the main reason is the environmental pollutants. And environmental pollutant is something which is a major reason behind this early adolescence nowadays, which I observe personally. For example, we are using nowadays so many plastics, and the plastic PVC and biphenol or maybe biphthalates, which are used to increase the flexibility in the plastic formation. So these are the few chemicals which are used in plastic formation, as well as augmentation of the plastic qualities which we are exposed to, because normally all the things are getting packed in plastic which we're using. So that's one of the reasons we are having so many pesticides to be used in the agriculture. So obviously we are bound to use the fruits and vegetables laced with pesticides or maybe with insecticides. And yes, another reason which I want to tell is nowadays I have seen the kids even started taking too early too much of the protein supplements. And these protein supplements, if you're not taking from the good quality manufacturers, so that can increase the production of use of, not production, the use of steroid hormones. while making these kind of protein supplements. So you're taking directly the steroidal hormones to these protein supplements. So yeah, that is another reason which I've seen, because directly you're taking the androgens in these forms, in protein supplements form. Moreover, I've seen there's a lot of trend now to take animal protein. People are getting too much of non-vegetarian food in day-to-day life comparatively to the Western society, which are not now turning to the vegetarian habits, but we are getting more non-vegetarian food in our day-to-day life, and this particularly is laced with a lot of hormonal injections because in our industry, in our food supply chain, we are not having stringent food laws in place. So that is the reason somehow that these manufacturers or the suppliers are using so many hormonal injections while breeding animals or making their products like dairy products they are making. So they are putting so much of estrogen and which beyond the permissible amounts. So that's why obviously the hormonal exposure is directly to them. And even I've seen teens nowadays using so many of the cosmetics. So cosmetics are having parabens. This is again is the androgen disruptors. So when you search on Google, you really find out there's a whole range of endocrine disruptors which are responsible for increasing the sexual hormone production inside the body, and that somehow is one of the other ways increasing so many issues related to the reproductive health along with the metabolic health also. So that's why I really want, first of all, to underline that environment pollutant is the major reason, according to me, for increasing this kind of issue in our society. Apart from the other reasons, yes, there are other reasons like obesity is one of the reason, and our lifestyle is affecting obviously this kind of issue. So obesity is increasing the leptin hormone in the body, and which is affecting the HPA axis, which is hypothalamus pituitary ovary axis, and that ovary axis once is getting affected, so obviously the imbalance of hormones is also happening inside the body, and this is one of the reason for increasing the precocious puberty and the symptoms associated with that. And yeah, there is another reason which I've seen lately is that people actually are having so much of stress, and even the kids are not actually you can say can't avoid the stress because of the peer pressure, because the competitive environment nowadays. So the cortisol level is increasing. The cortisol level, once it is getting increased, is also indirectly is affecting the HPA axis. I don't want to reiterate again, but HPA axis is one which is actually responsible for the secretions of hormones for the reproductive health. So indirectly or directly, whatever the stimulants are there, they definitely is one of the reason affecting and adding this kind of issue, and increasing the prevalence of this kind of problem in the society. Vitamin D, yes, you can say again it is one thing which indirectly, not directly, I can say, is also increasing this kind of problem. Because vitamin D somewhere is increasing the gut dysbiosis. It is also somewhere is affecting the cortisol secretion or melatonin secretion inside the body. And melatonin and cortisol again are somewhere affecting the balance of reproductive hormones inside the body. So yes, indirectly you can say vitamin D to some extent is also responsible for precocious puberty, but mainly which I would say is obesity, environmental pollutants, as well as the cortisol levels and exposure to the protein supplements as well as the animal protein, along with alcohol intake and the smoking. So these are the lifestyle things which I really want to underline, which we really need to take a note of because they definitely are increasing multiple problems, not only in the adults but also in the adolescent age as well.
So, when you say eating animal plant, protein more, so is it like just the off the shelf? Because definitely, as you say, that kids intake of non-veg, they want to have some KFCs and all that. Is that plant-based food for sure? Everybody's moving towards more of plant-based foods, but at the same time, they're also talking about environmental pollution. So where does the one finds balance? Because we are also saying that there are endocrines and pesticides, and then again it's animal protein as well. So the question comes, where exactly one settles. So while we can take it definitely forward, later in our conversation, but that's something which clicks me because I see that, there are pesticides that you're talking about, of course, going in. So a lot of waste food, of course, we talk about one side that, and then again, animal protein. So if I understand, and again, you reiterated, there are genetic factors, and then obviously there are environmental factors, but the larger circle of influences is our own, which one needs to be taken, you need to take care of, which is probably the stress part, and the vitamin D, and probably the obesity level in the child. So moving ahead,
I want
probably.
to add few more points also here in this. The another thing is the prenatal health also is somewhere affecting this thing, because I have seen the females who are coming with deficiencies of vitamin D or vitamin B12, or maybe dealing with some kind of medical issues like gestational diabetes during their conception period, or preeclampsia, or some kind of metabolic syndrome. Their kids are more susceptible to develop the early adolescence because of all these reasons. Because again, this is somewhere is affecting the kids in terms of their BMI and the leptin levels, as I explained earlier. So once the insulin resistance is more and leptin levels are on a higher side, these are the hormones which I'm talking. So
Okay.
these hormones are directly affecting the HPA excess. So metabolic syndrome and the reproductive health go hand in hand. So once, if you're having some kind of metabolic syndrome, whether you are having or your mother was having, you are equally susceptible to develop the metabolic syndrome as well as the reproductive health issues, because it definitely is doing the hormonal imbalance if you are not being very cautious about your lifestyle as well as your dietary habits. So that's another thing. And even I've seen nowadays the because of the work pressure, the females, working women specifically, are somewhere switching too early from breastfeeding to formula feeding. So once they're switching from breastfeeding to the formula feedings, the one reason is the formula feeding is normally again coming in the packed in the plastics. Plus formula feeding is somewhere having high glycemic index, high level of the sugar then required, and they even are not having right amount of minerals and vitamin which and the immunoglobulin which normally are there in the breast milk. So that again is increasing the incidence of the hyperinsulinemia, and again the cascade of the hormonal imbalance in the kids in the successive years. So that is another reason. And even the kids are somewhere getting too early the intervention of the solids in their diet. Before even the 6 months, I've seen even the mothers are feeding them even after 4 months per se, but ideal time is from the 6 to 8 months. So exclusive breastfeeding is always recommended till 6 months. Beyond that, if you are giving, then it's fine, but you slowly have to intervene and supplement the diet with the solid food. But as much as you really can breastfeed, and as long as you can breastfeed, it always is beneficial and is good for the overall health of the kids. But that's not happening nowadays because of the work pressure, because of some not having less supportive environment at home also, or maybe because of the convenience thing. So there are a couple of factors, but this is also the reason which is putting a wrong foundation for the health in a successive years for the kids. So yes, these things also are increasing the metabolic syndrome or maybe the hormonal imbalance later in the life.
Wow, that's great. I think that insight on how prenatal health is actually, is so correlated with the early adolescence part. Probably that's an important input. That uh, how when you are pregnant or at the prenatal stage, what all you can take care of. One needs to be really careful about that, and even not to shift on one solids is probably what I hear from you is that important, that not to be in haste when you are as long as you can breastfeed, that's better. That's why probably it's said that breast feeding is one of the best till 12 months if one can do. So that's really important. So how metabolic syndrome and causing and precocious puberty, probably we covered that part, or you want to add a bit more insight on that? Uh, that's That's what we spoke about, right? So,
Um,
sorry, please go ahead.
I
Can
think
you?
I have, I don't want to go into too much technicality. I just want to tell you one axis that is basically is HP axis is somewhere affected by hyperinsulinemia and high fat tissues, because once the adipose tissues is increased, or you can say the fat cell mass is increased in the body, there is one hormone called leptin. That leptin hormone is affecting the secretion of the gonadotrophins, or in a simple language, I'll say sex hormone releasing
Or
hormones inside the brain. So if you really can understand this thing, like lifestyle the problems and your healthy or unhealthy lifestyle is directly affecting your HPA axis or maybe the hormonal balance inside the body, that is the answer. Even now you have seen that a lot of hypothyroidism cases are increasing.
yes, definitely.
So yes, so because of the, again, the same thing, the endocrine disruptors is one of the reason, as well as the metabolic syndrome is one of the reasons. So that whole thing is starting from the hypothalamus. This is the origin of all kind of hormonal secretions, because they are giving signal for the secretion of hormones, maybe for the thyroid hormone or maybe for the reproductive health related organs like estrogen or the testosterone hormones. So these three things goes hand in hand. This is your environmental toxicants inhibition, as well as the healthy lifestyle and the reproductive health. So if you'll maintain all these things in a good way, definitely you'll not have any kind of issues in a long. So this is as simple as that.
So you spoke about thyroid, and I would just like to share, since we just touched base upon that, I was really amazed, shocked to see actually a child as small as 6 years old was actually at the doctor's place a couple of days back, and I just happened to visit, having actually thyroid, and all the tests were done. So somewhere probably what you were saying definitely now gets connected to and I could see that the child was on the obese side as well. Uh, so I'm not too sure on the genetic side, but when now you're saying that, probably you can connect the dot a bit in terms of how all this, from the obesity to the too much, being too much on the, I would say, junk food as well, probably was one of the major factors that the option, I think, is coming in place. How, what you are trying to say. So, if I talk about, you would want to take a couple of minutes and help us understand uh, uh, how the issues of, when we spoke earlier, you were sharing type 2 diabetes, kids are coming more and more in the age group of probably 10 onwards or 12 onwards are coming to you with PCOS, girls especially, uh, teen stress plus type 2 diabetes. So I would all say these are all effects probably of early adolescence, if I can say so. Can you help us explain that, how that is happening, how insulin resistance is happening probably, and how the overall impact is happening on this age group, which we can say about 9 to 14 years of age group. You're seeing that these changes are happening and occurring very fast.
See, again, PCOS is something which is directly related to insulin resistance. Because once, if somebody is having PCOS, the first dietary guideline which we tell them is control the simple carbohydrates in their diet. That means all kind of refined food and the sugar-laced foods or high fructose diet, you should avoid as much as you need the diet. A typical diabetic diet we usually advise for PCOS patients. Why? Because their insulin resistance is high. And what do you mean by insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is something which is actually hindering the absorption of glucose in your cells. So that means glucose is not getting absorbed in your body. So where it is going? It is remain in the blood. So it is always remaining in the blood. So that means the blood sugar level is always on a higher side. So once the blood sugar level is on a higher side and body is not metabolizing glucose, the person first of all is feeling lethargic. But the blood sugar level, if it is on a higher side, that is promoting the lipolysis. That means formation of the fat in the body. So that is further increasing the obesity. And once the obesity is increased, the leptin hormone is also giving signals for the secretions of more of estrogen hormone or the testosterone hormone. to the hypothalamus, to the ovaries, as well as to the other genital parts in the boys as well. So that is the reason, definitely hyperinsulinemia or maybe the high BMI levels or maybe these things are definitely is increasing the PCOS problem in the kids, and this is increasing. That's one thing. Second thing which I want to underline is the caffeine intake nowadays is increased because that is a kind of, you can say, a cool trend in the teenage kids that okay, you really want to have coffee in the Starbucks. I don't want to go against any kind of franchisee or any kind of brands, but I just want to tell this thing. Caffeine, no doubt, is having the good antioxidant level, but there is a permissible amount to have it. But nowadays, I've seen the amount is way exceeding than the permissible amount of the caffeine. And there are some researches lately have been done. The caffeine, once it's taken more than the permissible amount, is affecting the absorption of the vitamin D. So once the absorption of vitamin D is decreased, your immunity is jeopardized, and also your reproductive health is also getting jeopardized. Why? Because vitamin D again is one of the reasons for maintaining your BMI in a healthy range by increasing the fat burning and by increasing the insulin sensitivity. So vitamin D, if is less, you always can see in obese people, always you will find out vitamin D deficiency is there in 90% of the cases. So vitamin D deficiency happening in the kids if they are taking caffeine more than permissible amount, and also if they're taking alcohol more than permissible amount again. So now what is the permissible amount? This is basically 60 ml. Normally we should not advise even the 60 ml to the teenager because they anyways under the influence of the sex hormone, which is increasing the aggression in them, and the decision making power is not very good for them. So obviously alcohol anyways is not advised for them, but still they're taking alcohol. I've seen the trend is increasing the alcohol they're taking more now. So that again is decreasing the absorption of vitamins, particularly the vitamin D in the body, and that increases the cortisol levels inside the body. Plus they're providing calories also because they are again having the high sugar levels. So all these things are having the cascading impact on the body.
I think the biggest,
or maybe you can say the accumulating the impact.
The underline being that definitely the caffeine intake probably needs to be in check. One, don't start it too early is something which probably you would want to say that you can see kids as small as 6-7 years having probably coffee or a cold coffee, and anyways your soft drinks again do have caffeine in it and the amount of intake. So yeah, definitely I think caffeine is something which each person as an individual also need to keep in check, and especially the parents among the young kids for sure. So uh, uh you know it's just while you were saying, I was just wanting to recall one probably article that I had read some time back, that children experience early puberty. Children who experience early puberty are having higher rate of depression and anxiety. Is that somewhere true? Because it definitely is termed as a behavior which probably you're not able to understand, or the sudden change the parents are also not able to understand, right? The reasons behind it. So how true is it, or what in your experience probably you would want to add there, so that as people who are able to understand that yes, if you seeing signs of early puberty and there has been a behavior change or somebody being a little more anxious or quiet, probably this could be the reason. So your take on probably that.
I observe a couple of reasons are responsible for that. The first reason, which is pretty obvious, is the bodily changes happening in their bodies, making them more conscious of their body. They are they are dealing with lower self-esteem, or maybe they're getting irritable under the influence of again the high secretion of the sexual hormones like estrogen or the testosterone in them. So they may can have eating disorders like bulimia nervosa or anorexia nervosa. Though this is not happening nowadays too much, but still I have seen there are a lot of kids who are having still the bulimia nervosa, that is the binge eating disorder. If you'll say in a layman language, or maybe anorexia nervosa, or maybe you can say the dieting which they're doing nowadays beyond a certain limit. So that is the reason they have the deficiencies of particular vitamins and minerals. So once the vitamins and mineral deficiency is there, the protein intake is not as required as per their bodily requirements. So definitely the tryptophan level is less. So tryptophan level is one, which is an amino acid, which is a precursor for the dopamine and which is a happy hormone, if I'll say. So that is one of the reason if you're taking right amount of proteins or maybe the right amount of amino acid like tyrosine or maybe tryptophan, which are responsible for formation of dopamine as well as the serotonin. So that's one reason I've found out. Secondly, obviously, because of anyways body image issues and lower self-esteem, and also because of the testosterone and estrogen levels, they anyways are having more of aggression and the poor judgment capability and the poor cognitive power at that particular time period because there's lot of confusion around for them. Their perception is a little weak. So that's why they are susceptible to have biases towards particular things. So that's another reason. Alcohol is another reason for vitamin D deficiency and the wrong food habits because they are somewhere are taking too much of the junk foods. So vitamin D deficiency also is the underlying thing, which is also increasing the secretion of the dopamine as well as serotonin levels.
All right.
And cortisol levels, yeah, lastly, which also I want to tell, because of the peer pressure or because of the today's competitive environment, they anyways having a lot of stress. So once the stress is on a higher side, the cortisol secretion, if it's on a higher side, so that again is increasing the requirement of vitamins and minerals in the body, like vitamin D or zinc or selenium or magnesium. And if they are not getting fulfilled from the diet in a varied form, then again they are susceptible to develop a depression. So there are multiple reasons behind this thing. So parents should be more watchful towards these kind of things if they are happening to the kids. Yeah.
Definitely. I think it's a lot to keep on a watch, one on the behavior as well, and probably the kind of intake you are, what you eat also, makes you one important part. Probably that's the saying that's coming to my mind, listening all through you so far. Okay, so moving ahead, it also clicks me that probably, do you think early and increased, I would specifically say early and increased, uh, exposure to various screens leads contribute to somewhere our early adolescence, less of outdoor, and of course the increased and very early handling. You can see as small as 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 year old kid having screen in hand, phone, and that. So, do you think that's also one of the factors that the stage is reaching too fast with such scenarios?
Certainly. Certainly, it is not one of the factor. It is definitely the factor nowadays because if you have seen the statistics in the COVID time, the depression as well as ADHD, attention deficit disorder, cases have increased on an alarming level. So when we have done studies on that, we really have found out the kids actually had more screen time comparatively to pre-COVID time. Why? Because obviously they stick to their mobiles, they stick to their laptops all the time, and they are confined to their homes. So obviously the screen time is increased. So once the screen time is increased, that means the blue light of the screen, if it is increased, then in that case the melatonin secretion is decreased. And melatonin is a sleep hormone. If I'll say in a simple, it's a sleep hormone. So once the blue light is exposure is on a higher side, even in the daytime. I'm not talking about night time, but even in the daytime, if it is increased, there is 3 to 4 time decrease in the melatonin secretion. So once the melatonin secretion is hampered, obviously they're having the poor sleep pattern, and the poor sleep pattern if is there, and in that case, definitely again the cortisol level is on a higher side because melatonin directly is increasing the cortisol. So you even have observed once you're not having the good sleep for the couple of days continuously, you really have you're feeling irritable or lethargic or your stress levels on a higher side, you are more edgy because your cortisol levels are comparatively on a higher side. So you really have to see about in the case of kids also, they anyways are under the influence of hormonal imbalance or the hormonal surge at that time. And once the melatonin level is also decreased in their case, so the cortisol level can go on an alarming level. So that if is increased, the vitamin D uptake. Uptake means you can say the consumption is increased in the body. If it is not getting met through the diet, which is very difficult to meet, especially in the Indian scenario, then definitely again they are equally susceptible to have the depression or ADHD problem or psychiatric illnesses also. So that is happening nowadays in the COVID time especially. So we really even have to even take care of the screen time for the kids as well. So yes, this is again one of the additional factors which
So
we can't be looked down upon.
yeah, but probably yeah, you really can't make it zero because every now and then even the classes are happening online, but probably you need to be really careful how much is the exposure in case you can't really definitely make it zero, but then probably a well balanced approach from that side and being more mindful that will be helpful. So I'll request audience to place their questions if they. Meanwhile, that's towards the end of the session, we can take it with our experts. So moving on, there's one more thing that probably would be good and important to talk about, knowing that your whole background with Ayurveda as well, and the whole nutrition part. Uh, you know, kids as small as probably 3 years or 4 years also get onto some supplements, and I've seen doctors also recommending certain kind of suggested some supplements, like those gummies and all, which also comes and they give. So parents also definitely get interested because we all now understand the kind of food intake, and it's all marketing driven as well. What's your word of caution or suggestion around these supplements? Because I see a lot, uh, I would say interest in parents and the keenness to give those supplements to their child. And probably somewhere, since the recommendations also come and you read that their dietary requirements are not getting complete, so didn't start. What's your take and your suggestion around especially those dietary supplements?
Okay. See, supplement, if I'll talk about, the market is flooded with all kinds of supplements, whether the over-the-counter food product having so many antioxidant infused in them as marketed by different kind of companies, or maybe in the form of capsules or in powdered form. The supplements are there, and this is very difficult to find out which is the better one and what is the method of manufacturing is definitely is good one or not too good one. So I only want to say one thing is that go organic first of all, because if you're taking the organic food in a true form from the good manufacturer or good supplier, that means you're cutting down again the endocrine disruptors from your diet. So first thing I want to say is you should go organic in the diet. And that's one thing. Secondly, I would advise to take so many millets in the diet or the complex carbohydrate rather than going for the supplements. Because once you're taking millets and the complex carbohydrate like whole pulses or maybe the whole grains like dalia ho gaya, broken wheat ho gaya, oats ho gaya, millets in any which way. So they are giving right amount of minerals which is required in the teenage, even in the adolescence age or maybe in the adulthood time, whether this is zinc, magnesium, or selenium, iodine, or iron, all kind of thing you really can fulfill from these kind of things. That's another thing. Third thing, for again probiotic and prebiotic, yes, you can go for the supplements for that thing if you're having some kind of indigestion or if you are dealing with some kind of inflammatory bowel disorder or irritable bowel syndrome. But otherwise, there is no need even to go for the probiotic supplement as well. You can go for the fermented food product, and you also can have also the natural probiotics or prebiotics in the diet. Um, as you can say the bale, which you may have not heard much lately, but in earlier time the bale is a fruit which is a very good natural prebiotic, or maybe licorice is a good prebiotic. If I talk about in Ayurvedic language, cinnamon is something which is also helps to control the insulin resistance and improve the insulin sensitivity even in any age group. So that kind of thing, or the which is available easily in your home, you should go for that thing. And in case if somebody is going for athletics or maybe for the sports training and they anyways have to take some protein supplement, then I would advise you to go for the organic whey protein supplement or maybe taken from a good supplier where you really can be assured of, okay, this is not having any kind of anabolic steroids in that. So the whey protein supplements are safer version than the other anabolic steroid laced supplements in that case. And again, you really can get nowadays the organic animal protein as well if you're really a non-vegetarian and want to go for that thing. Only thing you really have to be cautious about certain thing which I already have underlined for you. Otherwise, I actually have told so many things not to be taken. So I just want to simplify the things for you now. In the end, at least, is that
So yeah, so
take
I'll just in between to top up my last question, previous conversation on supplement. Probably you're trying to say that don't go at the first place to the you know I would say available supplements which are there at the medical shop. Try to find out options from our home kitchen, right? Then in that you were definitely recommending whale. You usually get in summers, and I think that's one of the best things that can be given to the to everybody for that matter, children and adults as well. Second, you're saying fermented food is really good, right? So when you say what are the examples, probably you would want to give like a idli, probably is something which comes under your fermented food, right? So
yeah.
what are the couple of cinnamon you say that add, and probably that helps as well. So likewise, you can just name couple of things so that we people can take note, and maybe we put it in chat as well, because I see that that need around the parents to know that what can I do, and that since that is not met, the answers probably are not available with them, and then hence they go for those kind of gummies or expensive multivitamins, which we really don't know what are they really helping in. So
One line which I want to say in starting is everything in moderation is fine. When you go in excess of anything, even the supplement part if you're talking about, definitely it is more harmful. For instance, I'm telling you phytoestrogens. Even the carrots, apples, parsley, coriander, or soya bean, these kind of things when we are overdoing, they are the sources of phytoestrogens. Though they are good in the required quantity, but when you're overdoing these things, that increasing the phytoestrogens in the body, and this phytoestrogens again are responsible for hypersecretion of estrogen and the testosterone. So this is just an example I'm giving you. Even the supplement or even the antioxidants, even the probiotics, even the any kind of thing, when you're taking in required amounts, it's good. But when you're overdoing this thing, even the good things are harmful. Okay, so I just want to tell you this thing supplement definitely is required if you're having deficiencies. For example, vitamin D deficiency, if you're having, you really can't compensate it with the diet only. In that case, you may have to take at least for some couple of weeks some vitamin D supplementation in after consultation with some good physician or maybe with some good doctor in that case. But rest of the diet, you really can have from the diet itself. Rest of the things like vitamin B complex or probiotics or prebiotics or maybe antioxidants, you really can fulfill from the diet only. Only thing is that again, the diet should be from the good quality sources. For example, I told you from the organic sources, which is not having too much of the pesticides or insecticides in that case. And also not to take exceedingly high level of alcohol or caffeine as well as the high fructose intake. So these kind of thing I want to tell. Supplements, when there is a deficiency, go ahead with that thing for the limited time till the time it is recommended by the doctor as you're consulting them. First thing. Second thing, go on the diet part rather than going on the supplement over the counter products part. So the diet in a natural form, in organic form, it's perfectly fine. And avoid basically the high fructose diet. And the main outliner for them is caffeine, high fructose, and alcohol. Three things you should avoid. That is it. If you are able to do all these things, I think you are good to.
So your recommendations to handle this definitely increase. If I could include, if I could sum up, is really keep a check on the caffeine intake of kids, right? Not to have a very inactive life, which does lead to obesity probably. So keep obesity part definitely in check, and make them more outdoor people for sure. That's the second. Probably what you're saying, to keep a check on the vitamin D levels very regularly, right? And probably if you could just add some more recommendations which you can actually suggest to people. The home remedies probably for what you suggested on the supplement part. I think that's something which definitely we can look forward to. So we also have insights, probably we got question around having your Ayurveda background. So we have a question around, could you suggest some self care practices as per Ayurveda for children in maintaining good physical and mental health? Probably if you could just add something around that.
Yeah, I would suggest even for the kids, if they are able to do some kind of detoxification procedure, detoxification in terms of intermittent fasting, not heavy intermittent fasting, like even the 4 hours window, 5 hours windows of food abstinence, or maybe the not giving food at least for 3 or 4 hours, at least once or twice in a week, so that their gut health can be restored. That is one thing. Second thing, to be able to give some of the good herbs is also recommended to them. Like I already suggested, licorice in restricted quantity, but cinnamon is good to go. And yes, there is Videnia somnifera, which is in Indian name is ashwagandha. Uh, yeah, that is something which is also keeping the cortisol level in check and also is improving the intellectual abilities. So yes, you really can have that thing, but again, the good manufacturers, because sometimes I've seen if you're not taking from the good manufacturers, there's sometimes the herbs also having the heavy metals in them, and the heavy metals are again is very harmful for the kidney health. So all these things you really have to be a little cautious. So I'm just giving you both views in that ways. And yoga, anyways, is nowadays everybody knows definitely is a good thing to maintain the mental as well as the physical health. Like, for instance, Kapalbhati or Bhramri. These are the two asanas which I can recommend. Kapalbhati is good for the visceral uh, fat cell decrease. So
So
Kapalbhati is definitely helpful for that. Brahmari is something which is helpful to increase or maintain the hormonal balance in your HPA axis as well as to decrease the cortisol levels or brain health overall. So yes, because normally kids are having so much of screen time and so much they are putting efforts in the study. So they're always having one or the other problem like headaches or high stress level or irritability. So Brahmari is something which is helpful for relaxing them, and that's easy for them to do comparatively to meditation, because meditation I don't think the kids are doing so easily or they're not very much in sync with that. This kind of pass. Some asanas are something which is recommended for kids also. You can go to the yoga expert for that thing. I'm not an expert for that. But yeah, there's something which maybe I can recommend from Ayurvedic point of view. Basic is something which is not normally recommended by the dietitians for sure. But I have observed being in Ayurvedic line that okay, 1 or 2 teaspoon of desi ghee or the clarified butter is somewhere is also helpful for increasing the DHA, that is docosahexaenoic acid in the brain, as well as increasing the cognitive ability, but again in a limited. That you really need to take care of. It also is helping to maintain the gut microbiota balance in your body. But yeah, in restricted quantity. So this is something which I can give from Ayurvedic perspective.
thank you so much. That's really insightful, and I think these are really handy things that each one of us can incorporate in our individual lives. And obviously, when the I would say the responsibility as parent in our parenting journey, definitely the onus lies that how you can uh, make changes within on your lifestyles, and that you can influence also the children's lifestyle. So that brings us to almost end of the session. It's been a really insightful and enriching session. Personally, I would definitely say that. And we open the floor for all questions. So we got a couple of them we just placed as we were discussing. Any more questions from all the participants? We're more than happy to take. We have some more time with us, another 5 minutes or so before we just close the session. Any more questions, we'll be happy to take. Meanwhile, I would also say that our team has placed a feedback form here. So kindly undertake that feedback, feedback. We would love to hear from you. And, these are programs curated, especially keeping in mind the parental struggles, and nothing more brings us more happiness than if we hear from you and how we can, over a period of time, stitch our programs to bring better experience and make it more meaningful for you. We also have one more thing to share, that we have a parents community, which we just launched some time back. And there is a link to join the community. So in case you want to be part of the community and, be more on top of what's around parenting, and we keep on sharing enriching content around it. So please join in the community. There's a link of WhatsApp community and Telegram community. The links are there to share your feedback. Any more questions if we have, we'll be happy to take.
I have a question.
Sure.
So of course, I know your background is in Ayurveda, and we're talking about, parents engaging with their kids in a more meaningful manner. Well, that's where we sort of come from as a platform. And I think while recently people have been talking about Ayurveda a lot more, and home remedies, and, more organic alternatives to, and you also talked about supplements. How does one initiate a conversation about Ayurveda in the house, and how can parents pick up, I don't know, like bring it up in conversation without sounding like they're class ले रहे हैं, because बच्चों को लगता है कि स्कूल भी जाते हैं, फिर वापस भी आते हैं, कोई ना कोई सिखाने के लिए बैठा हुआ है घर पे, and how can it become more engaging and fun to engage kids and learning more, or becoming more curious about something very different, right? Because I think for any remedy, आजकल तो doctor के पास जाओ, there's an allopathic solution that is given to us. But how can we introduce something which is not that?
So basically, probably what Aditi is trying to say is not sounding very preachy to your kid, but at the same time, you want to introduce them the age-old wisdom of Ayurveda. How can that make a little, I would say, place in their mind and heart?
You can start as simple as from your kitchen ingredients. And because if you start doing experiment with the food in your kitchen, and you're giving it to the kids, and you really are asking their feedback about it, how they're liking it, and how it is affecting their mood or their health overall after some time. So definitely, once they see the result, they definitely will be happy to give their feedback also about this thing, and they will be over the time will be more interested to explore this dimension also. For instance, I just want to tell again, there are a couple of things which I really can tell, but I have so many things in my mind. Like for instance, the gripe water. Normally, we are giving to the kids for the colic, for the abdominal pain problem. But in earlier time, we were giving carom seeds, ajwain, sapani, right? So this is something which I have seen when I have given to my patients, have given instant results in abdominal pain or in any kind of indigestion. So ye kids must be having some or the other time indigestion problems or some kind of bloating problems. So why don't you start with these kind of home remedies, like giving sometime carom seeds water, or sometime when you're giving turmeric to them or ginger to them, or when they are having less appetite. So ginger and salt is something which is normally prescribed in the Ayurveda to be given half an hour before your food. That is helping to increase your appetite as well as to improve your digestion. Just go on and read about the Ayurveda through different blogs, and start putting these remedies in their diets in slow and in a sneaky way. So once they also start seeing the results, they definitely will be happy to explore about this area as well. So I think this is something, rather than preaching, put in their diet, and let them also explore this thing. I think this is the best way to do it, right?
Nice. So
Yeah,
involve them.
In the experimentation part, probably be the part of the gang. Let them experiment and do that, and then probably they develop a fondness for it, and this is probably the best way to do it. Like I would like to share that as you share the ajwain seeds and all, probably I experimented it with my son that let's add some salt and ajwain and look at the aroma and the boil. And he actually loved the taste of it. Just now I'm recalling. And now he says that you haven't made it for a while now, Mama. Make it more often. So I think I get it as you say that. I think making them part of it would definitely make a way among them for that. So I think it's been a great session. Thank you so much for giving and letting us know so much around this topic of early adolescence, because if we understand, there is a set pattern of understanding, bodily ये changes होंगे, but इतना जल्दी होंगे क्यों हो रहे? Probably these questions never crossed as parents' mind. And even if they did, then probably what can I do if I'm a parent of a young child was all have been, especially in my mind. So I'm sure, like me, other parents also must be thinking. And it was a really enriching session. I can say thank you so much, Jyoti, for joining us. We at Pluggage are really thankful to you. And to all the audience, thank you so much for joining this session. I'm sure there have been a lot to take, as a takeaway and incorporate. Even if you can, some part of it, then that will definitely bring a lot of change in lifestyle of your and your child. Thank you so much as we close the session. Do give in your feedback. The feedback link is in the chat.